was the night of May 8, 2020, in Wichita, Kansas. The clock read 2:30 a.m. when a quiet suburban home became the scene of something truly unsettling. Inside the living room, a 15-year-old girl named Anaya Robinson slept peacefully on the couch. The television glowed softly in the background, its flickering light casting faint shadows across the room. Everything seemed calm, until a dark figure appeared from around the corner. The man had just broken into the house moments earlier. But when he saw Anaya asleep, he didn't run, he didn't speak. He simply stood there watching her. The home security camera captured the entire scene. For several long, uncomfortable minutes, the intruder remained still, his eyes locked on the sleeping teenager. The silence was suffocating, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Then suddenly, Anaya's eyes opened, and standing right above her was a stranger. Startled, she screamed for her mother. In that instant, the man turned and fled into the darkness. When police arrived, he was long gone. But what came next made the entire event even more disturbing. Nothing was taken. No valuables. No electronics. Not a single thing in the house was missing. So, if he wasn't there to steal, then why was he there? Investigators searched every corner for answers. But the only evidence they had was this haunting footage. They never discovered how he got inside, and they never found out who he was. Even now, years later, the man seen standing over Anaya that night has never been identified. Some believe he was preparing for something far more sinister. Others think he simply wanted to be seen. Whatever the truth may be, the thought of a stranger standing silently over you while you sleep is a fear that stays with you forever. In October of 2016, a family in Florida woke up to find several of their belongings missing. The night before, everything had been in its place. Nothing seemed unusual. But by morning, valuables were gone. Puzzled, the family decided to check their home security cameras, and what they found left them frozen. At 1:30 a.m., the footage showed a man quietly entering their home. He moved slowly through the living room, completely undisturbed, only a few feet away. The family was asleep on the couches. The intruder carefully searched the room, picking through drawers and surfaces for anything of value. Each item he found, he handed to another man waiting just outside the door. That second man was armed. For several minutes, the burglars continued their silent search, stepping only inches away from the sleeping family. Not once did anyone wake up. When the homeowners reviewed the footage the next morning, they immediately contacted the police. An investigation was launched. But despite the clear video evidence, the two men were never found. Authorities later stated that if anyone in the house had woken up during the break-in, the outcome could have been far worse. They believe the armed suspect wouldn't have hesitated to use his weapon. The footage serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most dangerous moments happen when we're completely unaware they're unfolding. In the summer of 2023, Franklin Township, a quiet suburban community on the southeast side of Indiana, became the center of a growing fear. Within just 1 week, more than 24 homes and vehicles had been broken into. Residents stopped venturing out at night, doors stayed locked, and unease filled the air. Among those who experienced it firsthand was Carla Wilson. On the morning of July 13th, she woke up to find something strange. A few of her jewelry pieces were missing. At first, she thought she might have misplaced them, but when she noticed her front door standing slightly open, an unsettling chill ran through her. Hoping to find answers, Carla opened her Ring camera footage from the night before. What appeared on the screen left her completely frozen. A tall man, wearing a hoodie and a full beard, was seen walking calmly around her garage in the middle of the night. He wasn't rushing, he wasn't nervous. He moved with purpose, as if he had done this many times before. Investigators would later discover that this same man had broken into Carla's family car a few days earlier. From there, he had stolen the garage door opener, giving him full access to the house. In the footage, he used the opener to enter the garage, rummaging through another vehicle parked inside. He stole cash, an iPhone, and a pair of sunglasses, but that wasn't enough. He then reached for a can of WD-40, spraying it along the edges of the interior door, to silence any squeaks that might alert someone inside. Then, with unnerving confidence, he picked the lock and stepped into the house itself. Inside, the camera captured him moving through the living room in near silence. Every step was slow, calculated, deliberate. At one point, he stopped just outside Carla's bedroom. She was asleep, only a few feet away. The man stood there for a moment, watching. Then, without hesitation, he turned and continued walking through the house, collecting several pieces of jewelry, including Carla's favorite diamond ring. For nearly 7 minutes, he roamed freely through the home before calmly walking out the front door and disappearing into the darkness. When police reviewed the footage, they quickly realized this was no ordinary thief. His precision, his timing, and even the small details, like lubricating the door hinges, showed a level of planning far beyond typical burglary. Detectives began to suspect that this same man was behind all the recent break-ins terrorizing Franklin Township. For Carla, the realization was horrifying. Watching a stranger wander through her home, while she slept only steps away, was something she could never forget. Though she was unharmed, the image of that silent figure stayed with her, long after the police had left. And while many burglars eventually get caught, this one didn't. No one ever identified the man on the footage. He simply vanished. Today, residents still remember that summer, and the thief who moved like a shadow through their homes. Was he a master criminal who knew exactly when to disappear, or something far more unsettling? No one knows. But one thing remains certain: in that night in Franklin Township, someone was watching. This footage comes from a home security camera in Vacaville, California. It was recorded in April, during a time when the streets are usually filled with kids walking home from school. Everything seemed normal that afternoon, until one camera captured something unsettling. A young girl wearing a backpack can be seen walking along the sidewalk, heading home just like everyone else. But what the footage doesn't show right away is that she was being followed. For several blocks, a dark-colored Pontiac trailed behind her. At first, she tried to ignore it, but when she realized the car was matching her pace, she decided to act fast. Spotting a large truck parked along the side of the road, she quickly moved behind it, using it as cover. The car slowed down, and the driver stopped, waiting for her to step back into view. But she didn't. The man stayed there for a while, engine running, seemingly unsure of what to do next. Then, after a few tense seconds, he drove off, disappearing down the road. The girl remained hidden, too afraid to move. Moments later, she saw the Pontiac again, this time turning back toward her. She stayed perfectly still behind the truck. The car rolled by slowly, then reversed, as if the driver was trying to find her. Each time he moved, she shifted, keeping herself out of sight. Finally, the vehicle sped away, and that's when she ran, as fast as she could, out of frame and toward safety. After the footage surfaced, multiple tips poured in about the driver and his car. Police soon identified a 24-year-old man as the one behind the wheel. He was interviewed, but never arrested. According to investigators, he hadn't technically committed a crime. He hadn't spoken to the girl, hadn't touched her, hadn't even stepped out of the car. And so, legally, there was nothing they could do. But that only makes the footage more disturbing. If he wasn't trying to harm her, then why follow her for blocks? Why stop? Why turn back? No one knows what his true intentions were that day. And perhaps it's better that we never find out.